Picked a good day. I don't know if you know what happened in the stock market today, but yeah.
Well, I've been trying to catch up. I don't know what happened today because I don't even hardly know about the stock market, but I do know that there was a big crash. Was there like another crash or like what's happening?
Down 1,000 points.
You look so dapper today. You look very professional.
I didn't want to mess up your broadcast when you get ready to edit.
It's impossible. It's impossible to mess up my broadcast. I don't know if you ever watched the archives, but
I know.
All right, everybody. Welcome once more to another webcast of Alexandra Mayers Live. And once more, I have Stephen Washington with me, who is a financial and economics expert.
Thank you, Alexandra. Good to be back. Enjoyed the last time.
Thank you so much for coming and returning because as you know, before we began this webcast, you were saying that there was a lot of major financial news going on. But before we even get into that, I do want to tell you that I signed up for that Coin Flash app. I got my Coinbase account and everything. Mm-hmm. And so I really appreciate you giving that little tip because that is what's helping me get into the whole world of cryptocurrency because I really wanted to, but I didn't know how. So the suggestion that you gave when it came to that app was perfect. But my second question for you when it comes to that is how much money per month or what percentage of a person's income do you think they should put into the cryptocurrency? What's your advice on that?
To me, for me personally, for the average person, I would say very little.
Okay.
So, because unless you actually do plan to use it in actually as a medium of exchange.
I don't.
Using it within a specialty industry. For example, there's a coin called pot coin. Is specifically being used in the legal marijuana industry because there's still trouble in the normal banking system with or whatever. So they actually use it just to do business among themselves, that sort of thing. But if you're doing it more so as an asset, like really sort of as an investment, as you can see what's been going on lately, you got to be really careful, which is why I like Coinbase because it's sort of passive. You're just putting spare change in there as you go along your daily life. And then, hopefully eventually it'll accumulate, but it shouldn't hurt you. So I wouldn't really, not very much, put it that way. It depends on the person, but that would be a very small part of my overall asset allocation, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Now let's talk about what's exciting in regards to the financial world right now, because I don't know a lot about the stock market. I do know that there was recently a pretty big crash, but you had something to say about that today. So take it away.
I think it was about a week ago or so that we had the biggest one-day decline in history. And today we beat that. So the stock market is down today over 1,000 points.
Okay.
Is over 4% in one day. So probably trillions of dollars of wealth gone. And so for the year, right now it's the market has quote unquote, you might as well say it crashed. We're in what's called a correction. And a correction means it looks like we're going into a bear market. Correction meaning go down a lot. That's market speak for, the stock market really being down.
Now, what causes this? How does this happen? How does the stock market crash? Does it have to do with consumers or does it have to do with something else?
In this particular case, it has to do with really where we are in the economic cycle and then what that means for monetary policy, meaning the Federal Reserve's policy towards interest rates. Mm-hmm. So interest rates are going to be going up because the economy is in full go. There's full employment. There's wage inflation. So you're going to get goods inflation. So when you get inflation and you get rising interest rates, it causes the stock market to quote unquote correct because stocks are dependent on debt. So companies' cost of borrowing goes up. And then with interest rates going up, people can switch into bonds, which are a little less risky, but now you're getting more yield, meaning you're getting more interest. So sort of, it's a macroeconomic issue, but the economy is good, but the stock market is always ahead. So the stock market is looking ahead and saying, we're good now, but a year from now, interest rates are going to be much higher. Inflation is going to be there, and companies, will make less money, especially companies that are interest sensitive, like banks. So,
okay.
That's what happens.
All right. Now, I did see an article, I believe it was on the Washington Post that I found it, and it was saying that considering, now I guess 2 crashes, if you're a bargain shopper, now's a good time to buy stocks. Do you concur with that? Do you agree with it or not?
Absolutely. So if you're a long-term investor, which 99.9% of people should be, then this is great because everything is on sale. So if you're investing in retirement, you should be all over this. Now, if
this sounds like a chance for people to kind of play catch up if they haven't been getting into the stock market or investing. It seems like, now it's more accessible for the common person maybe to get in on some things that normally were out of their reach.
Yep, absolutely. So if you were out there trying to be a trader, meaning you thought you would buy stuff and then quickly sell it in short term, you're probably freaking out right now. But if you're putting money in the market for retirement, this is actually good because say if you're putting in $50 a month, well, now your $50 is buying you more than it did last month. That's called dollar cost averaging. And so you want a dollar cost average into a down market if you're long term.
Well, this actually sounds like it's very beneficial for the Black community because, you were talking about on our last talk about the Black wealth gap, especially when it comes to Black women, how, for the most part, we're on the lowest end of the totem pole. Right. But now with all of this, it sounds not just for Black women, but women of all ethnicities, even, men of all ethnicities, anyone who's poor. It sounds like this is kind of like the golden ticket that's being handed. So, wow. Now, let me ask you something, and this is just how my mind works. I find it ironic. I guess I'm not asking, I'm just telling you my observation. I find it ironic that this is happening during Black History Month.
How ironic, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you think about Black economic history, things like, the Tulsa riots. Our class was going over that a couple days ago. So yeah, it is kind of ironic, but the best thing to do is take advantage of this, get in, use some of that technology we talked about. It's take $5 and go ahead and go with it. And it's going to be going up and down or whatever, but so it runs in cycles.
Well, I'll tell you, like this holiday season, I'll tell you a quick little instance that happened with me last night, and it made me think about that $5 investment. What was that website? Stash Cash or Stash? Yeah. I have a relative, and he and I were about the same age. He's going through a phase in his life to where he's regrouping, restarting, and whatnot. And he recently got a new job, and he has to take public transportation to get to work, right? Mm-hmm. And over the years, various family members have lent him money. And last night, he called and he asked me if he could borrow some money. And I really was like, Arr! But I was like, okay, well, let me just, it's not going to break me. So let me just give it to him. But you know what I'm going to do with him and my other relatives this holiday season? I'm going to do that gifting of the stocks, like you said, because that makes more sense. And I feel like just within the Black community in general, and within any family, anybody, I think that just teaching about wealth and what it is to really have a nest egg and have some sort of money that you can tap into if you need it, instead of just looking for that little bit of cash here and a little bit of cash there. I mean, that's something I so wish that had been instilled more within my knowledge base as a child. And I feel like I was taught so many other things, and I'm naturally a pretty cerebral person anyway, but it's just for some reason, nobody told me. So I'm just so glad that you're willing to share some of this knowledge with me. But here's something I saw on your Twitter account, Wealth Gap Net. You just posted it before we did this webcast, and it has to do with African Americans being left out of the legal marijuana rush. And I agree with you on that, because I find it very interesting that when it comes to the legal repercussions of illegally distributing weed, I'd say that people in the Black community get the harshest hammer when it comes to that. But it's like, it seems like that's an industry that naturally should kind of be, pointed towards us, but it's not. It's really not. How do you think that can be rectified, or what do you think could happen? Should more African Americans move to Colorado? I don't really know, but what are your thoughts on that?
There are some successful African Americans in Colorado in the legal marijuana business, but I think that I think it pointed out that the incarceration rate is like 3 times African Americans for illegal marijuana, even though the usage is about the same. And then there's almost no representation on the legal side. It's probably going to have to be like a concerted, organized effort to get people in. And, somebody needs to pick up that mantle. But that's true. That is very true. And I think we need to do something about that. Maybe there can be some programs connecting people who have gotten into trouble on the illegal side for it, into introducing them, through mentoring programs, I don't know, whatever. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad you put that on your Twitter, because I thought that was a really fascinating article and whatnot. And it just kind of crossed my mind before this webcast. I'm like, that's something that I want to research a little bit about, not in regards to getting into that business myself, but being able to talk about it and whatnot, because it's up and running. People are making, pretty good incomes working within that world legally. And I think it also would create jobs for, it already is creating jobs. So
the other thing people don't realize, that even if you don't really want to be in that business per se, there are a couple of mutual funds that have nothing but legal marijuana stocks in it. So you can actually invest in the legal marijuana industry as a regular passive investor right in your brokerage account. I have to get you the ticker symbols for those, but yeah.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, they've done really well, actually.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that as I can, that's going to be something that I purchase when I can. All right. Well, like I said, I want to keep these little segments short and sweet. Was there anything else that you wanted to bring up in regards that was just on your mind that you felt like talking about? Because this was great. I feel like we talked about some cool things today.
Yeah, I think we covered what we wanted to. The main thing I wanted to bring across was the fact that you had this. I just think it's interesting also that the president is taking so much credit for the stock market going up. But,
is he going to take credit for it going down?
Take credit for the last couple of days. And the last thing I'll say is, and a lot of people don't know this also, you can actually make money when the stock market goes down. It's called shorting a stock. Shorting a stock, or shorting the whole market, means you actually sell stock you don't own, and then you owe it to your broker. And when the market or the stock goes down, you can buy it lower, and then you make that difference.
Oh.
Meaning, in the stock market, it doesn't really matter which way, as long as you know which way, or as long as you can guess right which way. So, and that's why traders like this. They don't really care that it's going down. They just want it to go. And by going in one direction that big, a lot of people made money today. It's called the shorts. People who were short made money. So.
All right. Well, what I'm going to have to do, if you come back again next week, at that point, then I want to put together just like a little blog and, put links and everything. And maybe you could input on it too, because like you've opened a whole nother world for me. I'm going to study up in stocks and everything now, because this is interesting. This is really interesting, and you explain things in such a way that is very easy for me to understand. So thank you very much again for giving me a little bit of your time today. And everybody, make sure that you do visit Stephen Washington on his Twitter account, Wealth Gap Net.
Yep.
All right. Well, have a good night. Well, thank you.
Thank you again. And, look forward to next week. Some good topics going. Hopefully the market will go down some more. Why not? And we'll see.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.
I'll catch up with you soon, and I will let you know as soon as I have this posted. Bye.
Great. Thank you. Good night.